Can characters be trapped by the very language that they speak? We're looking today at the literary unconscious in Act 3 and how the internal architecture of the text in some ways dictates the tragic outcome.
Shakespeare uses this, arguably, perhaps even overuses it in Romeo and Juliet, where someone comes in and doesn't properly convey information, going back to this theme of, making sure that everyone has the same information in the play, a kind of Elizabethan and Shakespearean obsession. Well, the nurse is talking about he's dead, he's dead, he's dead, we're undone. And we immediately think, oh, this nurse, she has a really bad communication skills, and as a result is always misleading people. So of course Juliet says, can heaven be so envious, which is ironic to her previous thing, and then finally says that what devil art thou that torment me thus? This torture should be roared in dismal hell. Hath Romeo slain himself? Say but thou I, and that bare vowel I, shall poison more than death darting eye of cockatrice. I am not I, if there be such an I, or if those eyes shut, that makes the answer I. If he be slain, say I, or if not, no. Brief sounds determinate in my weal or woe. This is a great example of Shakespeare. Juliet loves to play with language, and it's funny because it doesn't really fit with Juliet's character. There's a lot of kind of like formalities of Juliet's speech, which, she's incredibly impatient, but in her impatience, she goes on really long to explain why she's impatient. And I don't know, Shakespeare loves to have these word games, right? Which is like, I don't understand you. What the hell are you talking about? Speak plain. That's how some other character might put it. But Juliet puts it all into prose, and verse, but she prolongs the moment of the nurse being unable to communicate, which is sort of funny. And it's not until finally this line here, she doesn't say who's dead, all bedaubed in blood, all gore blood, I swooned at the sight. Juliet finally thinks Romeo's dead, break my heart, poor bankrupt, break at once. And then the nurse finally says, Tybalt, Tybalt, the best friend I had. And Juliet, of course, what storm is this that blows so contrary? So this is an example of Shakespeare taking something very simple, like just the conveyance of information, and you might even say in lesser hands, or people who are better at poetry and less at actual drama, like let's say Christopher Marlowe or someone like W.B. Yeats, wouldn't be able to make a scene out of this. But you can see that Shakespeare really kind of milks it, as it were. He creates a whole dramatic tension over simply the nurse being a poor communicator, and Juliet thinking that Romeo's dead, and then it turning to Tybalt, and then she says, what a storm is it that blows so contrary? Now, I'm probably making a lot out of this, but the reason I am is because this is in many ways the stuff of Shakespeare and what separates him from other playwrights. Now, in many ways, Romeo and Juliet is kind of a clunky play. Scholars like to say, the prince is a kind of odd figure, and often he doesn't take the later Shakespeare is so much more sophisticated. But anyways, you can see a lot of Shakespeare's art here, and what he does with characters, and how he's able to kind of make dramatic situations out of very simple things. And mostly it's misrecognition, which, as Aristotle says, is one of the most important parts of tragedy and drama in general. It's pleasurable in an agonizing way to watch characters misinterpret a plot that we understand better.
This agonizing misrecognition is exactly what Aristotle identifies as the core of the dramatic experience. And in Shakespeare's hands, the inability of language to bridge the gap between characters becomes the most powerful tool of his tragedy.